Welcome to Your TV on CreaTV. Your TV is produced, filmed, and edited by CreaTV volunteers and interns, sometimes with a little help from CreaTV professional staff. My name is Darlene Wallach, tonight's host. Our guest this evening is Michelle Cordova. She's the president of San Jose Peace and Justice Center, and we will be discussing DACA, DAPA. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you so very much for coming in tonight.
Such an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Michelle is not just the president of San Jose Peace and Justice Center. She has an amazing biography. She's from Ecuador. She graduated from the German school, and then she studied political science at the Pontificia Universidad Católica del Ecuador. She taught geoeconomics and geopolitics for 13 years. And then she became a coordinator of social studies and wrote all the projects, proposals, and reforms that the school needed from the Ministry of Education. She's written books and textbooks about social studies that are used throughout South America. She came to the United States about 9 years ago and became involved with the San Jose Peace and Justice Center for the last 6 years, and she's been the president since 2013. In the summer of 2015, the San Jose Peace and Justice Center was invited to be part of the AR Coalition, and they will serve thousands of people for DACA and DAPA. And the coalition got a grant of over $700,000 from Santa Clara County. The other thing that I think is so amazing about Michelle is she's not only fluent in her birth language, Spanish, she's also fluent in English, German, and Italian. So welcome, Michelle. And I guess I had heard DACA, DAPA before, but I didn't really know what it was. And when I heard about or read the information you sent me, I was actually appalled and disgusted. So here we have people that are in the United States being contributing members of society. And what the DACA, DAPA is delayed deportation. Which I think is thoroughly disgusting. Is the reason I think so many people have come to the United States is because of our foreign policies for many, many years. And now that people are fleeing the drug wars or just economic deprivation, there are so many reasons. So would you like to touch a little bit on that and why people come?
Sure. One of the problems is that a lot of people here in the United States, they believe that people come from South America because they want to live the American dream, and that's not true. They're really fleeing a lot of violence that they're suffering right now there. And as you stated, even in the 60s or 70s, the United States helped and was part of all the coup d'etats that happened there and all these governments that really massacred people. It was genocide in Argentina, genocide in Guatemala, or what happened with the Somasas and the Contras, the so famous, the civil war in Salvador, the people genocide, as I say, in Guatemala. What happened now in the 2000s with Plan Colombia and the war drugs in Colombia, what happened in Chile, in Argentina, Paraguay, Colombia. In one point of the 60s, 80s, over 90% of Latin America was governed under all these dictatorship governments and all these coups d'etats. And most of them were also helped, supported, and funded by the United States. And the people who were in power were trained by the United States. So thousands of lives are in their hands. And actually, as you know, what happened with the Contras, they raped kids, they killed nuns, they tortured kids, they beheaded people. Now we are amazed because of what ISIS is doing. That was exactly the same what Contras were doing with the support of the United States. So this is an ongoing issue that the United States have been interfering in Latin America. But not just in that, there are other issues like poverty right now with all the Monsantos, what's going on and the GMOs. Because of that, many of the farmers and the peasants don't have money anymore. And if they have been farming for generations, that's all what they have been surviving with that. But now because of all this these GMOs and Monsantos, it's so cheap for them to do it that if they sell, they can't even sell because the people don't want to buy their products. So they are forced to go and immigrate either to the big cities or to the United States and other countries. And also the huge issue right now is going on with drugs, the drugs and the cartels. And there's a point, and I think that's the most important point to state, is that the drug cartels exist is because there's consumption. 90% of all the drugs that are produced in Latin America are produced by United States. So if there's a demand, supply and demand. If there's going to be supply and demand, the violence is going to keep going. And there's another huge issue here in the United States. We cannot criminalize drugs. The consumption of drugs is a health public issue. It's not a criminalization. So we have to begin changing our minds. It has to go to a public issue. And right now in Latin America, because we're suffering so many things, because of you guys, United States, all the youth consuming the drugs, you're really fleeing the rivers of our countries with blood. The violence is impressive. You can count by millions the deaths. All the control that the cartels have, the Mexican cartels, they're just not controlling Mexico, neither in Central America and South America. Right now we have the North Triangle, that's Honduras and Guatemala and Salvador, is the most violent place in the world. More people dies there than in any zone, just Syria because it's a war zone, or Yemen. But we are the most violent area in the world. And just today, the BBC posted an article that I was reading about Latin America is the most violent place for the youth. Yeah. Between 8 and 10 and 19 years, more of the kids are killed here in Latin America. Those kids, those diseases are the 25% of all the murders that happen in the world in a year. The youth is being killed. And also there's the issues of the gangs. The gangs is something that happened and was produced here in the United States, because when the people in the youth came from El Salvador to LA, they were mistreated by the Mexican gangs. The United States wasn't able to do gun prevention, they weren't able to do there, and then the United States began deporting all of them to El Salvador. But they have no language, they know nobody, they're not accepted by the community, so they go under the criminalization. So they're really fleeing, and not just that. And we also all the industrialization of the United States and climate change. Millions of people are being forced to leave their countries because of climate change. That's also produced by the United States. And all the corporations that are going there to get our economy, unfortunately we're an economy of extraction. So the United States is taking advantage. They take all our raw material, they produce it, and they come back and they sell us. So that's a huge problem. And finally, when our governments began to have independence from the United States, there was a regional cooperation, as you know. We began being not so dependent on the economy of the United States. The United States began destroying all those governments. What's happening right now in Brazil is not because Dilma Rousseff is corrupt, but it's because they really want to break that. Brazil is part of the BRIC. The BRIC is an economy, power, and bloc.
Why don't you tell people what BRIC is?
BRIC are the most, is conformed by Brazil, Russia, India, and China. So are these in the countries that have a huge economy and huge population. So they have a huge people of consumption. Millions of people will consume their products. So it's somehow, it's against the IMF and the World Bank. They want to become economic independence from them, and they don't want to depend so much on the United States. Somehow that's the idea. So that's something that the United States is doing. They want to stop somehow Brazil, the inheritance of that. And because Latin America in these years became somehow economical, political independent from the United States. And actually all this visit of the United States to Cuba and Argentina. In Argentina, they went because they want the Argentina to be part of the TPP. That's another big topic that we're talking. So yes, a lot of people is fleeing all the violence and all the consequences of American policy in our countries.
So would you want to explain what DACA and DAPA are for people who may not know?
Sure. Some of the things that we know when the immigrants come here, they're called undocumented, right? And just one thing that I want to say, sorry, I forgot. The problem in Latin America and in Central America is so bad that right now we're talking about refugees for Syria. United States, for the first time, like in 2 months ago, accepted that those who live in the North Triangle, Guatemala, Salvador, and the rest, they're going to be able to be refugees. That's how bad the situation are. They're going to be able to request to come as refugees. So the United States has accepted. They're not coming here most likely because they said they're going to go to friendly territories, but they're going to be here. So all of the organizations that we work in favor of immigrants, we have always been requesting for an immigration reform. So as you know, Obama, when he was running, he promised us that he was going to be an immigration reform. Then he went to power and he didn't. Right. So when he was running for the second time, he decided that he was going to sign an executive order. This executive order said that all of the youth who came to the United States before they were 16 years old, they will be given a 2-year working permit and no deportation as long as they follow the law. So that's what he did. It's because he needed the vote of his Latin American people. As you know, we're power in voting. Actually, the director, the president of the Republican Party, he already acknowledged that they need 40% of the Hispanic votes be in the White House. So Obama knew that he needed us, and he won because of the minorities. 73% of the Hispanics voted for him. So Obama he's in power because of the votes of the women, of African American, of the youth, and of the Hispanics. So that's why he signed the immigration, the executive order with the DACA. So DACA is the arrival for childhood arrival. So basically all of those who came when they were before 16 years, who've been living constantly in the United States since 2007, have no criminal records, who are in high school or graduate from high school, and so on. And so that's basically who could qualify. But this is not something that Obama is doing because of his good heart. No. He's taking all the benefits of all these youth. They're an economic power. They're bringing trillions of dollars just in money. If they get a working permit, they will earn better. They're not going to be paid under the table. They're going to be having benefits. They're going to be buying more things. They're going to pay more in taxes. So they're bringing to the economy trillions of dollars. And also this is the youth that's coming out for the universities from graduate and undergraduate students. So they're bringing all the brightness, all the new ideas. They're coming to enrich all the areas where they're going to be working. So the United States is taking a huge advantage of all these students, of all these who will qualify for DACA.
So there's an expanded DACA that superseded?
So in November 2014, he signed another executive order. In that one, he was doing the expanded DACA because the original DACA, they should have been 31 years or younger by that time. So in the expanded DACA, basically you have no limit of age. It doesn't matter when you came, and you could have come up to 2000. And then he is expanding from 2 to 3 years. And then he also said that he wants to help DAPA, the parents who have kids who are either U.S. citizens or legal residents. So that was going to come out. So the day before it was going to release, and we all were ready to begin working on that, basically what happened is that the courts of Texas stopped it because they said that Obama doesn't have the power to do that, that the only ones who can do that is the Congress. So right now, that's in the court, it's the Supreme Court. And last Monday, there were the hearings that were thousands of us and the activists were to Washington. We were here in the Bay Area talking and providing and showing how important it is, because this is really going to help a lot of people, because as we know, Obama has become, the president has deported more people than in the last 100 years. He's a deporter-in-chief.
Right.
That's how we
over
call
2
them.
million people,
Over
right?
near 2 million and a half people.
And how many prisons have been built to put children, mothers, fathers, and they separate families?
Yeah.
Right. How many prisons have been built, and how many people now are
right now?
in
Like right now, although the kids are coming with no parents, they just came. The statistics just came last week. 27,758 kids have passed the border in this fiscal year. It's more than last year. And the problem is there's also another study that all of them go also to court. And the court is delaying, and they're so slow in these deportation cases or all these immigrant cases that takes them up to 1,100 days just to proceed the case where deportation is there. So that's why I think it's very important, this non-deportation, because it also provides the people peace of mind. You don't know how terrified they are. And one thing that Obama has stated and that have stated is that they are just sending back criminals. That's not real. According to the data that we get from ICE, 41% of those have no criminal records. And out of those who have criminal records, they have criminal records, but in misdemeanors because they didn't stop in the stop sign, because the tail light is broken, because things like that. They're not violent. They're not violent criminals.
Right.
So that's a huge issue.
Yes.
So that's why they're beginning to do that, to kind of, I don't know, but Obama really began doing that because he needed the support of the Hispanic vote, and he wanted them to believe on him again.
Right.
But really, they're taking a lot of advantages. And just one little piece, just for you to understand why they're so tricky. And I feel like a little mean. One of the requirements is that you have to prove that you were here for DACA in June 15, 2010. That's a problem, because in June 15, most of the kids are not in school.
Right.
How can you prove a student who's 16 years old that he was here?
Right.
They have no bank statements to prove that we're using the credit card, the debit card, and so on.
Right.
So hard sometimes to prove that. I can't even remember what I was doing last week to prove, oh yeah, I was in the United States, I was accepting this.
Because the requirement is continuous.
Yeah, but also they have to prove they were here in the United
Right.
States when the executive order was signed.
Oh, okay.
So he signed it in the date, whereas the students, the youth, are not in class.
Right.
So unless you're taking summer classes or you broke a leg and went to the hospital or you went to
Right.
the dentist or something like that, sometimes it's so hard for us to prove that they were here. We really have to be so creative. We have to go to Facebook accounts. We have to look
Right.
for all these pictures that have dates because we have to prove that they were here. Because if they're over 18, okay, they can work and it's more easier to do. But for the youth, it's so hard. So you can see how tricky they are. But
Right.
also they're getting so many benefits of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what about the costs? I mean, I was astounded how much they're charging just to apply. There's no
Yeah.
guarantee.
No.
So just to apply, it's
Yeah.
very expensive. And
Yeah.
I don't know where they think people are going to
Yeah.
have this money to apply, just to even apply.
One of the studies that there were about DACA and DAPA, they were realizing that just 1/4 of all of those who qualify were applying. And we realized that that was happening also in Santa Clara County. And when they began realizing, well, there's several issues. One of them, the family are expecting or waiting for there to be an immigration reform so they can bring
Right.
the whole family together. Others are terrified that the information that USIS will provide the information to ICE, and ICE will know where they are, and so they will be deported. So they're terrified that they will fall in the hands of ICE. But the other one is the cost. Just to apply is $465. But there are organizations who charge $300, $400, $500, $600 just to fill in the forms. So that's why 3 years ago, with the San Jose Prison Justice Center, in conjunction with the Human Rights Program from San Jose State, we partner and we began training the students. So we provide all this effort and all this process of filling the forms and organizing the paperwork and everything for free. Because we realize that we can do it. We can help the people. We can help the community. Because for undocumented people, usually their families have 3, 4, 5 kids.
Right.
They're working under the table. They don't have the money,
That's right.
$1,000 per kid just to apply. And as you say, it's not guaranteed that they're going to get the DACA,
Right.
that they're going to get it. And they have to renew it every 2 years.
Right. Well,
So
3, right? With
no,
the new-
2.
With the expanded, isn't it?
But that's not in place. Right now it's just the 2.
Oh, it's
So
still 2.
every 2 years they have to pay again the $465. And then they have to pay for the lawyer if they have to go to a lawyer or the organization who's paid it. So it's very, very hard for them
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah, to obtain that. But also we are working now because many people don't qualify for DAPA or for DACA, but though also other kind of visas like Visa U. Unfortunately, you've been, I don't know, a victim of a violent crime and you help the police and you help the prosecutor or you went to, I don't know, to trial or whatever, then maybe you can get the Visa U. Through the Visa U, you can get the citizenship. You can become a legal resident and then the citizenship. Same thing if you're a victim, because something that nobody realizes is here in Santa Clara, we have so many cases of human trafficking. Unfortunately, that's another issue that because they are so frail and they're so afraid that many of the immigrants are also victims of human trafficking. So there's also Visa T. So they're human trafficking victim and something that you cooperate again in the investigation and something like that. Maybe you can get all that visa. Yeah.
So it's just, to me, it's just still astounding that we don't have immigration reform, especially when you look at people that are on this continent, because they didn't cross the borders crossed them. And given that our policies are so horrific that people have had to, mostly I would think people would stay with family, friends in the country that they're comfortable with. They wouldn't just, most people wouldn't just leave for no reason. So that so many people have fled for so many different reasons for so many years, since the 50s for that matter. And if they talk about the numbers of people that have come, the millions of people that have come, and for the United States to take the measure that they're taking now to be so horrific toward people who are just looking for everyone wants a better life for their children and for themselves. So to be this way with people who are actually coming and being contributing members of society, I think is pretty sick.
And you know, something that really grabs my attention is that the United States is a country that's been forced and built by immigrants.
That's right.
All of us are here because of immigrants. We all immigrants. Like my father's American, but my grandmother came from a German, her parents were German and so on. And everybody here is most likely they're kids of immigrants. So this is a country that's built for immigrants. That's why we're such a rich country with so many cultures. If you see here, we have a mosaic of cultures. That's the beauty of the United States.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why we're so intolerant. And who gives whom the right to say, this culture is better than the others. We all contribute. Like here, if you see the Hispanic community, we in the Silicon Valley provide all the services. If we're not here, who's going to be cleaning you? Who's going to help you with the house? Who's going to be helping you fixing your car? Who's going to be at the hotels? The huge service that the immigration population gives here is impressive. It's massive. They're working in the farms. Like there was in Arizona. Arizona is such an anti-immigrant or anti-Hispanic state that now if you help somebody, you can go to jail. If you drive somebody who doesn't have documents, you can go to jail. If you have somebody in your house who has documents, you can go to jail. So most of the people, the farmers, the undocumented were terrified, and they left Arizona. And right now the farmers don't have nobody in their lands. They're losing money because nobody wants to work in their lands. Right. And everybody says, oh, they're here because they're taking our jobs away. Without jobs that nobody wants. There's a case. Go to Arizona, go and study the cases. They're proving that nobody wants to go there but all the immigrants. So the contribution is impressive. But not only there, you can see as we are in the government, we are in the most brighter students are in the best universities, all the things that we provide. We're such an amazing culture. We have so many artists, we have so brilliant people, we have so many amazing authors. It's just all the richness that we bring, and not just us, every single culture. That's what makes the United States amazing. That's what makes us such a beautiful country. So I don't know since when we became so classist and we thought that some are better than others when we all contribute and is a nation of immigrants.
Right. Yeah. And it's also coming soon, at least in California, is probably already the case, that white people are in the minority now and Latinos are the majority. Mm-hmm. And at some point that'll be the case for the entire United States. Mm-hmm. And that so they need to, I don't know if they want, it's a good term to use anyway, but because everyone should be treated with dignity and respect and valued as contributing members of society. And no one is a throwaway. And just the fact that I don't think there should be a term calling anyone illegal. And even the saying someone's undocumented seems to me not very respectful. So one of the things I did hear recently is they passed a law in California that all high schools have to provide ethnic studies. So what I'm hoping that means that there will be studies in the high schools that will have to be taught on the different ethnicities, not just white Americans, white privileged
And I think that's very important. Also, besides being in the Peace and Justice Center working for the immigrant community, I have a passion for the arts. But I really engage with the arts because part of the things that I have realized for this first, second generations here that have come from other countries, they have to feel that they are proud of their countries. Right. And through art, if you learn what you are, if you can show everyone, they feel so proud. They feel that they come from something that creates so much, that provides so much. There's so much treasure in our cultures that I think that's very important. So through ethnic studies, you can see the beauty of what we have. You can see our reality, but also you can understand why they're here. Not here because they're begging. Right. They're not here because they don't want to work. They're not here because they love to cross the border. Like I came to the United States, 9 years ago. I'm a U.S. citizen because my father is American, but it was so hard for me to come. And I had the language. I had a father who was a U.S. citizen. I have an education. I have I'm terrified. And even today, things that I don't understand are so, for Americans, it's so logic. For us, we don't have we're not used to it, or we don't know it. Imagine people who don't have the language, who are terrified, who are undocumented, who don't have papers. It's so hard for them. When I commit myself to work for the rights of immigrants, once I was working in one of my jobs, I was a coordinator on after-school classes where undocumented kids were taught to read and write in English. And so I had to be there, I was coordinating, and then at the end of these classes, the parents either came to pick them up or the kids were allowed to go back to their houses, and they really lived nearby. So in one case, there was a 6-year-old boy whose mother didn't come. So he went and he came back. And this kid had a panic attack. He was 6 years old and he had a panic attack, and you had to take him to the hospital because he thought his mother came late because she was deported. Right. That's when I understood what they're going through. Right. I cried with him, and I committed myself to help to immigrants, because if a 6-year-old child is having a panic attack, and he has a PTSD, thinking that his mother is going to be deported. I don't want to know all the hell that they go through.
So in regards to people knowing where they can come to get help with DACA or DAPA, and if they know they can always come to the San Jose Peace and Justice Center, what are the hours that they should come? What phone number could they call to get directions or whatever if they have any questions?
So, yeah.
And is everything there bilingual for people to fill that out?
Yeah. So as I told you, we began like 3 years ago working with the DACA DAPA project, and we've been so successful. We've been helping hundreds of people for free, and also the beauty of this is that we're training the students from the universities, not San Jose, but the ANSA, San Jose, Hill College, and other universities. We're working in conjunction with Santa Clara University. So it's so many students that we're training them to be empathic, to understand the reality of others, to go through the reality, to see how they're suffering, but also to feel that they can help the community. And they're learning how to fill in the forms. So yes, that's something that, and so when the immigration reform comes, at least they have the idea of what they need and they can guide them. And that's why we began the county seeing that they need to help more. They gave $1.8 million to support in DACA DAPA, and we were invited to be part of the AR coalition. So many of our organizations are working between these. There are 13, but some of them is us, the Peace and Justice Center, in conjunction to the Human Rights Program from San Jose State University. So we are help immigrants or the community Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 7. We're bilingual. We have people that speak English and Spanish, but we also have people who speak Vietnamese, and we have also information in Tagalog and Mandarin, because we know everybody needs that. So yes, they can call us, or they can go to our websites, like they can go to peaceandjusticecenter.org, or they can call us 408-679-8234, or there's a coalition also website that's DALEHOY, DALEHOY.org, or they can go to our Facebook accounts. And if they don't want, there are many other organizations they can go as. There's Siren, there's Catholic Charities, there's Sacred Heart, there's Amos Mayfair, there's Amigos de Guadalupe, Luna. You can go to the city. The city has an Office of Immigration. If you have any issue, they can guide you. You can go also to the county. The county also has an office who helps immigrants, just for the immigrants. So there's so many people and that's there for you and help you.
And are you going to be out there on May Day?
Of course.
Okay. So I just really want to thank you so very much for coming in today and talking about this such an important issue.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
It's such a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. So please tune in, watch CreaTV, your TV on CreaTV, and join us next week. We'll be back for our next show. Thank you.